Good morning, everybody. It's the Saints man, small van driver on the CX. It's a week in the life of last week. It's Saturday morning, Saturday 21st. I'm in the grandkids' bedroom because it's nice and quiet. Although we haven't got them today, so that's good because we're going to the rugby this afternoon. Saints are playing Bristol, 3 o'clock, and then we're shooting back. We've got England tonight v South Africa. I'm more optimistic hopeful than think England will win, but you never know. Semi-final, so we'll see how we get on. This week's video: heavy loads and flooding. I know, but we'll go back to Monday. We'll go back to first of all the price of fuel, and my cheapest price was 128.26, which worked out at 153.91, and I had an email from my fuel company on Thursday saying that the fuel next week will be more expensive and to fill up before Sunday night when this week's offer ends. So, and it has gone up, but it hasn't gone up massively. It's only gone up tuppence a litre totally, so it's not as dramatic as I thought it'd be. But it's on the way up due to Israel and all the Gaza and Palestine and all that. That's what they've said anyway. I had a load on board, 3 boxes, which I picked up from, remember, on the Friday, the week before, to go to Burnham on Crouch. And it was an early start, 6:15 on the Monday. Got them down to Burnham on Crouch, got them delivered. They went to a freight forwarder because they were going abroad. And I'd got a job. There's Burnham on Crouch is just the wrong side of the estuary. There's nothing around it. The closest place is Wickford, which is about 10, 12 miles. And that's where I got my second job from. And it was going back to Milton Keynes, which suited me down to the ground, but it weren't picking up until I think it was 11:30. So I'd got quite a wait. I'd got an hour and a half's wait, which is fine. I cleaned the van, pounced around, but I did get the Wickford job at a good rate as well. And that area, it was not a lot about. There wasn't a lot of drivers either because it's just a rough area. And yeah, we got that back to Milton Keynes. And then there was a job on there picking up from Northampton, the other side of Northampton is where I am, to be delivered the next morning going down to Cirencester, which is not the best area, but I quoted quite high on it and got it. And it was a pallet and it was going to a farm. It wasn't even in Cirencester. So Monday was a pretty good day, just short of target, but nothing hard work about it. Just one there, one back, and got the load on board for the next morning. And sure enough, we left the next morning again, 6:15, same time. Got to be in Cirencester for 8:30, 9 o'clock, which we did. And it was in the middle of nowhere. It was a farm, and it was agricultural equipment going to a supplier on the farm. Got it delivered, and again, so it was near Cirencester. The nearest place to pick up would have been Swindon, Abingdon, but still 20 miles away. Cirencester was 10 miles away. And sure enough, there was a job Abingdon to Coventry, which again gave me an hour's leeway because it was a late morning pickup. But I quoted on it anyway and got it. And off we went to Coventry. And we had 2 items, 2 small items, bit of fiberglass, and it was going to a specialist fiberglass company in Coventry. And we got that done. And then I made a bit of an error, a schoolboy error. I put a job in when I was near Coventry. There was a job going to Milton Keynes from it said Droitwich. I just thought south of Birmingham, and I've got an hour to get to it, hour and a half to get to it. So I thought that'd be great, and get to Milton Keynes, put me well over target for the day, and that'd be me going home. And the Milton Keynes postcode was my side, so I put a quote in on it, quite a high quote, and got it. And when I checked, I was 37 miles away from it. So why it come on my feed, because it should be 30-mile radius of where I was going, I don't know, but it did, and I was 37 dead miles to get to it. So it took me nearly the hour to get there, and it was picking up a pallet, and it said 350 kilo pallet, which is fine, and I'd got to pick it up at 1 o'clock, I believe. Yeah, 1 o'clock, and I got there. No, it was 1:30, and I got there at 1 o'clock, and they put it on, and it was flour. and it was a big pallet. It fitted on the van. I measured it, and it was fitting just. And they put it on the van, put it well on the van because I've got an L2. Put the pallet down. Yeah, it was a good lump. And I thought, geez, this is a good old lump. This is, and yeah, paperwork 390, 350 kilos, and I've got two sheets, delivery notes. So I thought, yeah, it's one for them, one for me. Brilliant. Don't have to write a POD out. And off we went to Milton Keynes, and it was yeah heavy lump. I thought, geez, this is heavy lump. I know I've got it on, but I thought yeah, it's fine. And I just trundled along the motorway. Good job, it was all motorway. Just trundled along, and I got to Milton Keynes and found the company straight away, and went in, and I they got the forklift off, got the forklift, and picked it up, and it did it. So I thought, blimey, it wasn't 350 kilos. It was the two bits of paperwork. There was two lots of 350 kilos, and they were made 700 kilos. They'd what they'd done. They have this each day apparently. Sometimes they have each day they have the same amount, and they decided to put it on one pallet. They got it ready the next days. They got ready, so they put it on a pallet and wrapped it on the pallet. So it was 700 kilos I carried, which is right on my limit of carrying it. Whether I was 10 kilos over, 20 kilos over, I always put 650 kilos as max, and I give myself a 50 kilo sort of buffer. This was 700. No wonder it was a lump on the van. The van took it really well. That's what surprised me. I had to write a POD out because he wanted both these delivery notes. So I had to write a POD out, blah, blah. And I'd put the load was 350 kilos because that's what I presume both bits of paper. One was two copies. It wasn't. It's two. The invoice on one, the purchase order number was one number different. So yeah, I carried 700 kilos for about 80 odd mile. Pound. I got well paid for it, but bloody hell, no wonder the van was felt it. But probably my fault really. I should have checked that they was different numbers, and whether I'd have took it, I don't know. But I did take it, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, it does take 700 kilos, but it wasn't particularly brilliant way. It wasn't very good having that weight on it, I don't think. But we did. We drove home. God, it was so much easier driving home empty. The van was light as a feather. And we were over target for the day. So we did quite well. And I booked a job in for the next day down to Reading from Wellingborough. And it wasn't an early pickup. It was a 7:30, 7:45 pickup, which is fine. That's just a nice start. Went to Wellingborough. It was one small box, and when I mean small, it was about a kilo. Talk about difference from the day before. Picked up in Wellingborough, took it to Reading, right in the centre of Reading it was. No problem, got it delivered, and went to Tesco's in Reading, sat there, and I struggled to get a job. Um, it really was a struggle. It was about 9, 9:30, and yeah, it took a while. And in the end, I took a job from Wallingford, which was 12 miles north, 10 miles north. I was that sort of side of Reading. And it was going to Elstree Studios. And it was taking electronic equipment from a lighting company. And there was 4 plates and 4 switches and 4 cables. Nice and easy. Elstree Studios. Last time I went there was COVID to collect COVID samples. And yeah, I got in there and I knew exactly where I got to go, what building, and he was really good about it. Security below, straight in, unloaded, 2 minutes. And I come out of Elstree Studios, there's a Tesco literally next roundabout down, parked in there, and it was raining, it wasn't very nice, and no work from there. So I decided I was going to drive home, and if I got anything on the way home, keep the feed on my phone. If anything come up, I'd go for it. I drove all the way home. Nothing. Really piss poor day. Well under target. 60 odd quid under target. So not a good day Wednesday, but that happens. It does happen now and again. It's not all roses. And yeah, I was home. I got home by about 4:15. So it was a longish day for the money. But it happens. That's what happens. It's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. I had booked a job in though for Thursday, and it was going to be an early start. It was going to be a 6:30 start, and it was picking up in Northampton, not far from where I was, going to a residential address in Uxbridge. Again, an area I'm not keen on going, but I was going to be in Uxbridge before 9 o'clock. So I was hoping to get a job out of that area before all the vans come down, because they all go to the London area and then they're looking for cheap money out. But if you get there before 9, you've got a good chance of getting the first job out of London, or you've got half a chance. And so it transpired, because there was plenty of work coming out. And I'd quoted on one from Windsor to New Basford, which is Nottingham. It's a district of Nottingham, just north of Nottingham. And I quoted on it, quoted quite good money on it, for London anyway. And I got it. And it was one box going from a shop, a boutique shop, right outside Windsor Castle in the High Street. And I was very lucky. On a Thursday, they do a changing the guard, or something to do with the guards. They walk from the castle down to the barracks, blah, blah. There was police everywhere. And I've got to park on the high street when they've got bollards out and there was police. I pulled right outside the shop and there was a police lady there, and I just said, I'm going to courier, I'm just going to nip in and collect a box. I'm going to be 5 seconds, 10 seconds max. She said, as long as you are, because I want you out of here. This road's going to be closed soon. And I went in and it was box straight away. I told the lady, there's a police lady outside, is there any paperwork? No, I'd got the address. Out, gone. Quickest turnaround ever. It was like Formula One. I was out the van, I was back in the van 20 seconds, I think, tops. And police lady was fine. I jumped in the van, I didn't even bother doing any paperwork, just moved out the way, just on the outskirts of Windsor, parked up, and then I did all the paperwork for it. And that was a good job, because it got me to Nottingham. Good area. Good money on it as well. And I was looking for a job. I got there, Nottingham. Took me a while to get there. And I was looking for a job. There was a few jobs I quoted on, didn't get. And I was looking for fuel, and then a job come up from Alfreton to Northampton. Brilliant, right up my street. And it was a shipper that I know quite well, local shipper to me. So I phoned up and instantly said to him, I'm 12 miles away, about 20 minutes. I've got to get some fuel. I can do this job for you. And I was going to do it for a really cheapish rate, because it got me home, because literally it got me within 2 miles of my house. And he said, I can do it for this, which was a slightly more than what I would have done it for. I would have gone even cheaper probably, just to get home. But the rate I got was still an okay rate. It wasn't top rate, but it was a good rate. Happy with that. And I picked it up, and I was very low on fuel. I picked it up first. It was office equipment, laptop, chair, blah, blah. Someone who'd worked from home and then they'd moved companies. So I took the stuff back, and I desperately needed fuel. And it wasn't, it was outside Alfreton, Tideswell, I think that was it. And I needed fuel, and I used a local garage, no UK fuels, and it was expensive, so I just put enough to get me to Northampton. I put 20 quid in it and filled up at Northampton. And I was home. I was done. 3:30, I was home. Again, good day, a good day. Over target by a good bit. So everything fell just right that day. And moving on to Friday, well, not Friday, I dropped it off. I just got home, and a job come up from a Northampton company who puts stuff on the CX now and again, and normally gives me a ring. And he didn't give me a ring, because it went on the CX, and I quoted on the CX, and he phoned me, and he said, I was just about to phone you anyway. He says, see where you are. He says, you're okay to this? It's a pallet going to Staining, which is north of Brighton. And I went, yeah, great. He says, you can pick it up any time in the next hour. I said, well, I'll come now. And I got it. And it was a 438 kilo pallet of printing stuff. Again, another big heavy thing, but it was 438 kilos. So we knew it was fine, just a good lump to have on. Anyway, Friday, I've got to be there for 9 o'clock. Staying in Brighton, you got to think, coming from Northampton, I've got to get past Luton, I've got to get past Heathrow. These are all sort of, not roadblocks, sort of traffic jam. Every morning there's always slow traffic through these areas. They're hot spots for bad traffic. I left at 10 to 6, and I got into Staining at 10 to 9. 3 hours. for a journey that was 120 miles. And it was traffic, just heavy traffic. And it was the smallest little print works I was going to. It was down a little lane that only my van just fitted down this lane. And you reversed into where it was. And I thought, there's no way there's going to be a forklift there. And it wasn't. It was one man band where you got a young lad who hadn't turned up. And it was an old boy, and we got a standing knife, split the pallet, and we unloaded 50 boxes of printing, which I'd normally be a bit miffed about. But to be fair to him, he was a real old boy. He was retired. He was definitely retirement. He was probably 70s, and he gave me a hand with everyone. He'd already got the kettle on, and we had a chin wag, and he got me a cup of tea. And I thought, you know what, I ain't gonna put any, handball charges on this. It took us 15, 20 minutes, probably 20 minutes. And he had the pallet as well. That was going to the local school for them for their bonfire night. He collects that for them. Really nice guy. And we did it. And we had a cup of tea with him. And I managed to get a second job from Burgess Hill, which wasn't far away. I think it's about 25 minutes away. Going up to Basingstoke. Well, across. So I got my second job and got good money on it. And I picked that up and went across to Basingstoke and thought I just want a little job home now. That'd be nice. Basingstoke's not bad. It brings in Newbury, Thatcham, Reading, Basingstoke, obviously itself. So you can hopefully get summer. But it was a Friday. The weather was pants. It was pants. Rain. And a job was on there. Thatcham to JCB. ST40. The one at Cheadle. ST10. And I thought I was that side of Basingstoke, so it was just up, and it wasn't even Thatcham, it was Greenham Business Park, which is closer to me, and I worked out it was about 9 miles away, and it was on there, and I thought, and what it said was, you wouldn't be queuing because it's meeting a contractor who's on site who'll come and get it off you, and I thought, I'm just going to put big money on this, and if it goes for it, it's worth doing. And I should be there probably 4 o'clock. And I did put good money on it, and it's the only way I would do it, good money, and I got it. Not thinking that Cheadle is Derbyshire. Derbyshire was getting a lot of rain, but I thought, no, I didn't even think, and I got it, and it was picking up 4 boxes. He explained. He said, I've got the guy's number. He said, just give him a ring, let him know what time you're going to be there. He said, he says it, and he's the engineer. He says, and he'll come and meet you. So it all looked hunky dory, as you think. And off I went, started driving, and it took me up to Birmingham that way. Took me off, didn't put me on the M42. I went up a road, and I was going up to meet the A45 at Birmingham NEC. And I thought, I'll just give this guy a ring, and it's got 2 hours it's going to be from there. If I give him a 2 hour warning, I said, look, I'm on my way to you, I'm going to be 2 hours. This is now going to be 4:30. And I rang him, and he answered. He said, I'm not there, mate. He says, it all shuts at 1. And I'm like, I didn't even pick it up until 1. It was 5 to 1 when I picked it up. I said, so what do you mean? Is there anyone going to be there? No. He said, there's security, they won't sign for it. I said, all right. I says, so you can't collect it? He said, no. He says, I don't know whether you can leave it. He said, I don't think so. I said, well, let me phone it my office, which is obviously not. It's shipper. I said, and I'll come back to you. So I phoned the shipper, and he said, the company works inside of this. There'll be someone at one of them. He said, just keep going. He said, and I'll come back to you, which he did. It took him 15 minutes, and by then the weather is getting worse. And then he came back to me, and he said, yep, he says, I've spoken with someone. He says, you can leave it in the reception at the Cheadle, a reception, or there's a drop box. And I've done Cheadle a few times. I know where the drop boxes are. He said, just take a photo. He says, and that's good enough. That's all they want. He said, just let us know when. So I said, okay. So I phoned this engineer who I spoke to, who weren't going to be there. And I said to him, look, I'm going to leave it in a drop box or the reception. So taking a photo so you know where it is. And he went, that's fine. He said, that's all right. As long as you do that. He said, as long as I know it's there. And so we carried on, thinking, well, we're okay. And I went up via Lichfield up the A38 to meet the A50, was going to meet the A50. and the weather was getting worse and worse. And both sat navs and me Google Maps and me sat nav told me to go this way, and I went to go through a village just south of the A50. I couldn't even tell you what the village was. It began with M, but it was going to be the quickest route. That was not happening because it was flooded. And I'd already been through 2 or 3 6-inch deep waters up through floods. And I got to the village and there was road closed. There was 2 guys in a brolly lashing down the rain. There was a lorry parked up, 18-tonner, going down a lane towards the village. And he come up to me and he says, "Where are you trying to get to?" I told him. He said, "This village is," he said, "it is chest deep." He said, "You couldn't even see the sign. It was about 4 foot deep in the middle." Okay, so I turned around. I said, "We'll have to go back to Ashbourne, go back to the A Utoxeter up that way and try and get in that way." And you have to go then across the A50 and you go past JCB Worldwide, and I think it's heavy. You go past that one towards Cheadle. You get to Upper Dean. Why it's called Upper Dean, I don't know, because that was flooded and that was under the river had burst and it was coming down the road. And we were just slightly higher, and it was just going across the road, and they'd shut the road. Again, there's about 4 or 5 people there with umbrellas, so it's about 2 foot deep, 2.5 foot deep, and it's getting worse by the minute. All the houses are flooded. It's so sad. I'm like, Jesus, this is not going well. I turned around. The only other way I knew in was carry on the A50 to the Stoke bit where the roundabout goes left to Stoke or right to Cheadle. So I thought, well, we'll try this way. And it brings you in the other end of Upper Dean and you go up to Cheadle. And we went in that way. And again, the road was bad. And I was going through water, a couple of inches deep across the road. But we were getting there and we got there. And we got there. And instead of getting there at 4 o'clock, I got there just about 20 to 6. Hour and 40 minutes after I was thinking I was going to get there. And I got there, they were waiting. There was 2 girls in reception and she knew exactly what I was carrying. And yep, she was well happy. And I just dropped it there. She signed for it. It went in the office. So I informed the shipper where I'd left it in the office. I also informed this engineer who was going to be there Monday. He knew exactly who'd got it. He thanked me loads. He said, "Brilliant, I really appreciate it." And we turned and we got out of there. And we got back on the A50. And the weather was horrendous all the way along. And I pulled in the services quick, used the toilet, run like hell to get in and run like hell out. And I got home at 8 o'clock. I drove for 7 hours, all bar a couple of breaks, one to get the stuff off, one when it was flooded to turn the van and get out, have a quick look, and one to use the services. And it was should have been a 5 hour journey, tops 4.5, 5 hours. I got home at 8 o'clock, so I did a monster day. Good money, don't get me wrong, but wow, you feel for people, you feel for them when they got in floods like that. But what do you do? And it's worse. It's still Scotland's in a right mess. We steer. We're safe. We're going to the rugby this afternoon. The weather's not too bad down here, and then watch England tonight. I've got a job for Monday. It's one I've took, and you know what? I wish I'd have perhaps waited. It's a 9 o'clock pickup in Northampton going to Thatcham. I've done this job a few times. It's normally earlier than this, but you've got a booking in time at Thatcham, and the booking in time is 12. I got good money, got over about £1 a mile on it. So it's okay money wise, but I prefer to start a bit earlier. But it's what it is. This week's money, I did 1,640 miles, which is quite a lot. I did 52-hour week, again, slightly over what I normally do. 37-hour drive, and I got 1,093. And when you add the VAT on it, the 20%, it's 1,311. 60 pence, take off the 10% for the VAT, and it comes out at 1,180. So it was a goodish. It was a good week. Thursday and Friday made it. Although I did a lot of hours, especially Friday. Friday was. I don't want to do that too many times. Slept like a log last night. Let me tell you, I was in bed by 10, and I woke up this morning at about 7:45. So I had a load of sleep, so I feel good today. So per day it's 236 a day average. So happy with that. And 72 pence per mile every mile. So the mileage is it's down. It's slightly down. I run home on Wednesday from Elm Street Studios empty. Yeah, and I've done a couple where I've done a dead mileage. So this happens. Anyway, that's my week. Yeah. The van runs sweet as a nut all through this water and all through the rubbish. It really got hammered on Friday and it's done really well. So hope you're doing well. If you like and you want to subscribe, please subscribe. I think I'm 22 off 1,000 now. Be great to get 1,000 subscribers. It really would. I'm staggered. You know, staggered why you want to watch and listen, but for talking crap, but you do. So I'll keep doing it. So have a good weekend. Stay safe and speak to you next week.